If you were to say where the FADER really was that launching point, I would say it was issue 3. Where we brought Beck and D'Angelo together and we started meeting some real writers and some real people with some experience. The course was really set and our confidence started to really boom when we finished that 3rd issue.
It's really kind of hard now to explain just how different the media environment was back then. There was literally black music magazines and white music magazines. There was Spin, Rolling Stone, The Source, XXL, and Vibe. We weren't listening to music in that way. The group of people we were around weren't thinking in those terms any longer, so we really wanted to change that.
I wanted a magazine for black kids to feel okay to be into rock, white kids to be into hip hop. I didn't even really want to make it that big of a deal. I wanted to demystify it.
Putting Beck and D'Angelo on the cover is like, if we're being honest, it's like a little bit of a middle finger. It's saying like, we know that these two people have something in common. We're not going to tell you what it is, but we're going to put them in a room, and by the time you get done with the interview, you'll understand why we went to the lengths that we did.
We always loved the idea of that interview magazine thing of 2 people who share a cultural space, discussing it with one another, talking about the nature of creativity so that we could get a better idea of what creativity meant.
When it was explained to me that Beck and D'Angelo were going to be in the same room and expected to have some kind of productive conversation, the thing that struck me was you couldn't just sort of send any old person in to do that. Because basically you're acting as a translator between people with 2 different experiences, 2 different approaches, 2 different conversational styles.
The mission really was to sort of break down that distinction. We didn't think that that was the way music should be, or anything else should be for that matter.
You look at the cover, right? And so, look at the way they look. D'Angelo's sort of pushed towards you, and Beck's playing the back. Now, look, I'm sure that Mannion shot 500 pictures, and I'm sure there's some where Beck is in front. But I don't think it's a coincidence that what ended up running is this. And I think D'Angelo, I don't want to say he didn't know who Beck was, but I don't get the sense that he was as amped to talk to Beck as Beck was to talk to D'Angelo. But a striking thing happens throughout that interview, which is when they sort of start to get down to first principles. Why do you do what you do? Why do you do what you do? What are your influences? What are your influences? All of a sudden, they're starting to talk the same language. You started to see 2 people who realized they actually had things to talk about, not just who got thrown in a room just to be on a magazine cover.
And really what we got out of it was that these guys were creative individuals, creative spirits, and they had a lot to talk about from a creative place. And it was incredibly rewarding to watch that happen because it was almost like, see? It does work, it will work, this can work.
I know that this one was like, man, that Beck D'Angelo. Like, I think this is when they really felt like, wow, we got something.